Welcome to a very special Baseball America video alongside the legendary Jim Callis, former Baseball America college writer, now of course the draft guru. I'm Fitt. Jim, how's it feel to be back here in Omaha?
It feels good. You know, I didn't make it out here last year, which ended my streak. I've been out here to every College World Series since '89 until I missed last year. So it's good to be back. It's nice and hot, but good baseball. I mean, the last game we just saw, was one of the all-time classics. You know, Texas, Arizona State. I was making plans to attend Saturday's game, figuring we were going to see a rematch, and in a span of about 2 minutes, we had 2 solo homers, and the game's over.
Well, Jim, I got to ask you, sporting your Georgia Bulldog shirt, I guess we know that you're biased for the SEC team here. You think LSU is going to win this thing?
I do. I picked LSU. For the record, if you check the Ask BA column on the website, I picked LSU before the series started, but I just thought LSU had the best balance out here in terms of lineup depth and pitching. I think Texas has a little bit deeper pitching staff, but I don't think LSU feels bad about going out there with Anthony Renato and Lewis Coleman in their first 2 games, and you got Matty Ott in the bullpen. And I just think LSU's lineup's too deep. You got 6 or 7 guys who are a threat to hit the ball out here, and the other day when they played Arkansas, the game was over, they're clearing their bench. You get guys like Tyler Hanover coming off the bench, crushing balls. It seemed like they had like 3 or 4 guys come off the bench get pinch hit singles or doubles. So I just think they're deeper offensively, and I'll stick with my LSU pick. How about you? Who are you picking?
I don't think anyone really cares who I'm picking at this point. I think I'm about 3-7, 3-8 in my picks now. It's ugly. It's gotten ugly here for me, Jim. But right now, I think LSU is the better team. I thought that I thought that all year long, that LSU is probably the best team in the nation. Texas is playing great right now. I could see Texas winning this thing. I really could. And I'm probably going to wind up picking the opposite of whatever Manuel picks, so I can try to make up some ground here. But I think that first matchup is obviously critical. Ruffin versus Coleman, great game. These 2 guys I think are pretty similar in that neither of them is really overpowering stuff-wise, velocity-wise. Both have good stuff. They're firm, but what really sets these guys apart, makes them special, is just the way they compete, Jim, and the way that they attack hitters. There's a lot of guys in this tournament who are competitors, who are fierce makeup guys. Mike Leake comes to mind, of course, and Josh Spence, and Alex White, excuse me. But these 2 guys, I think, are right at the top of the list when it comes to competitiveness. I think it's going to be a great game on Monday.
Yeah, especially Coleman's a guy who, at the beginning of last year was really kind of an afterthought. They were trying to lower his arm angle and do different things, and he had some success earlier in his career, and then just kind of hit a wall, and new coaching staff wanted to try some new things, and then they kind of let him go back to the way he'd been pitching. And all of a sudden, Lewis Coleman, I think, has won something like 21, 22 games the last 2 years. He's SEC Pitcher of the Year, and you're right. I don't think he's got any one pitch that the batter goes, oh no, here come. It's not like Steven Strasburg or Alex White. How am I going to handle this? But all he does is get you out, and I think Ruffin's the same way. I will say this about Coleman, who was a 5th-round pick. I'll bet he's in the big leagues in about 2 years. I think he probably won't be more than a middle reliever in the big leagues, but I bet he's in the big leagues very, very quick.
What else grabs you about this matchup, Jim? Texas offensively, I've been really impressed with the way they've swung the bats. They've shown as much power here as any team. They've got 6 home runs. Cameron Rupp looks like the real deal to me, Jim. What do you think about him and some of those other bats?
Well, I think the thing that stood out to me for Texas is, on paper their lineup's not real impressive. Brandon Belt was their one big draft pick this year, 5th rounder. He's kind of your first baseman without pro power, so I'm not sure we're going to see him in the big leagues eventually. But it seems like they find a way to win. They were losing to Army in the regionals, and they had a huge rally in the 9th inning. The other day, the way Lamson was pitching, I thought that game was over. He'd struck out, I think, 5 of the first 7 batters he faced, and then they threw 2 home runs together by Rowe and Rupp to win that one. So the one thing that's also interesting to me, I think, about the whole matchup is Paul Manieri kind of reminds me, he's done what Augie Garrido did at Texas in that he took over a very storied program. These are 2, if we were picking the top 5 college programs of all time, would be in the top 5.
Absolutely. And
when Augie got to Texas, the recruiting had kind of gone downhill a little bit. Texas was losing, and Augie had to rebuild the program a little bit. And it was the same thing with Paul Manieri. Skip Bertman had a lot of success under Smoke Laval. The program slipped a little bit. People were very unhappy, and they were back in Omaha last year, and now they have a great chance to win it this year. So I think that's one thing that's jumped out at me is that he's kind of done at LSU, kind of very similar to what Augie did at Texas, which again I think shows you how good coaches these guys are, that they were able to do that as quickly as they did.
It's a great point, and it's great for college baseball to have this kind of royalty going head-to-head here in the championship series, the finals. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and Jim, thanks so much for joining us at a very bright Rosenblatt Stadium. Enjoy the weekend.
No problem. Good to be here.
Aaron Fitt and Jim Callis for another Baseball America video.